kind of getting to tell the stories that we want to tell. It's your man DJ Ekin, Tampa's most connected DJ. Hip Hop Study Hall is what we are in doing right now, I should say. 7th and Grove is the spot here in Tampa, Florida, and intrigued, honored that you have the time. Think that you are like really one of the dopest people that I've ever met, and a
Thank
story that I
you.
just want to make sure that it's told in the right way, which means that you get to tell it. You
Oh,
understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
Miss Tiffany Hubert, and let me get this right. Marketing, PR, sports, mom.
Yes.
There's a lot
There are a lot of hats.
happening here.
Yes.
Um, First off, how do you do it?
Um, uh, I write down a lot of things. I'm a writer as well.
Right,
So in my other life, I was also a creative writer. So I write down everything. It keeps me organized, but it also helps me like set goals
right,
and have like benchmarks for myself. So I think that's a way to do it. And I know that I can't do it all. So I've got a good village, a tribe of people who help me do it all. And I think the importance of team is important as well. So that's how I do it all.
right. I kind of wish that honestly, and we're gonna have to do this again because I want to actually like, one of the things that Ben, shouts out to my guy Ben, who's always with me on this whole hip hop study hall journey, that we want to do is we want to be able to take people, the next set of creatives and folks that are going to get this world after we're done with it, right? We want to be able to
Hmm.
take them in your space. And I know
Hmm.
one of your spaces right now in your role is the basketball court,
Yes.
right? So the job you're doing now, tell
Hmm.
us first of all, tell us what it is,
Yes.
and then
All
what
right.
it entails.
So I am the publicist for the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. So I sit on a great team of creatives who are responsible for rebranding the Harlem Globetrotters. So a lot of people think of the Harlem Globetrotters as something where they want their grandparents or their grandparents watched it and things like that. But I am part of a dynamic team of Black creatives who are rebranding the Harlem Globetrotters because they're current players. They're 20-year-olds. They have amazing skills. They're on, featured in brand campaigns and different things like that. We've got a new partnership with Lids, recognizing Curly Neal, one of the basketball pioneers.
Right.
So we're here. We're only evolving. Our theme is spread game, and so that's what we're doing. We're just getting the Harlem Globetrotters back up to like current day because it's so much a part of the basketball culture. It hasn't gone anywhere. So I think it's really just doing the work to make sure that people know that we're still here.
Right, and I know everybody has a device nowadays. So if you're
Hmm.
watching this and you seem like you're like asking yourself, Harlem Globetrotters, just
Yes.
just Google it. You'll get names like Meadowlark Lemon, Curly
Hmm.
Neal, right? And I
Hmm.
know that there's a host of others, but being a kid like that, my dad and my older sisters like took me to these
Hmm.
games, right? These are the guys that I remember, and
Absolutely.
I haven't been to a Harlem Globetrotters game in a long time,
Hmm.
and I think that is kind of where you come in, kind of. Are
Absolutely.
you guys kind of one of the biggest things you guys are doing too is trying to make sure that the history is connected to what's going on now with the Harlem Globetrotters?
Absolutely. Recognizing where we've come from is just as important as who we are today. This year in particular, the 2022 season is dedicated to Fred Curly Neal. He is, one of the people who played 22 seasons for the team, wore the number 22 proudly, and of course in 2022 we are recognizing him. So he is somebody that we're recognizing and just sharing his story and how he moved the game of basketball, how he was always an advocate. I don't want to tell the story for this person, but there's one of our players who shares the story of, he was at an all-star game and it was Magic Johnson and Fred Curly Neal. And when Magic Johnson saw Curly Neal, he was like, oh my gosh,
Right.
you are why I play basketball, right?
Wow.
So because of the work of the Harlem Globetrotters, that inspired, black and brown kids to play basketball and go beyond, right? So that led way to access to the NBA and the leagues that we know today from the work of the Harlem Globetrotters.
How do you even wake up in the morning and decide? Because your history, like I know, you've worked for the NFL, the Tampa Bay Bucks,
Hmm.
all kinds of PR and marketing experience.
Hmm.
As a younger kid,
Hmm.
when did you decide, or what made you decide that this was the thing, or did it take a while? Like,
Um, Well, I think for me, and that's why it's so important, I'm glad we're having this conversation. I think exposure is the greatest gift that you can give to young people because when I was growing up, my parents always took me to sporting events. Didn't necessarily know all the different facets of a career in sports. It wasn't until I was in actually high school, there was a program with the local team here, the Buccaneers, and they basically took high school students and you went every single month and you like got to learn about different careers in sports. And so that's when I was like, okay, I can see myself working in football. I can see myself working in basketball because I know that I can't play, but wow, there's accounting, there's marketing, there's community relations, there's all these different things. So that exposure piece let me know that wow, there is a place for me. And I've always loved sports and how it brings everybody together and no matter what you think any other given day at that on that Sunday you're all rooting for the same team or against it, but there's still that togetherness. So
Right. So you're saying though, and I agree with you here, just making sure that we get this point out there,
mhm.
that exposure and actually seeing that these things exist,
Mhm. Absolutely.
that's a step that has to be and I think it should be taken even more seriously even now, right? Because we
Mhm.
say we got Instagram, right? We got, and let's just use that, not no nothing derogatory towards the platform, right? But
Right.
when you open Instagram, right, I don't I don't get to see you as much as I should. And when I say you, I mean like women like yourself who are making a lot of things happen, like
Right.
running operations like this, doing PR, doing marketing, actually owning the business, right? All
Right.
all facets of it behind closed doors.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when they get to see that,
Mhm.
it just makes a kid go, wait a minute.
Right. Yeah. I think it's what they say, if you can see it, you can be it. I really think that that's important. And, you know, Instagram is a great resource. And I think, there are great connections. So, one of the other stories is when I was at the Buccaneers, I met one of my great friends who actually is the reason why I'm with Harlem Globetrotters is we recognized that we were some of the few Black women in our organization. But then you look around and there even less, right? When you're talking about the average within the league. So we're like, okay, well, how can we connect with people? So we used Instagram and we started the hashtag Sisters in Sports.
Right.
And so from that, we were able to connect with women that we have never known in any given moment, but we're out there looking for each other. So it's from that exposure piece and just kind of putting yourself out there and saying, hey, let's connect, let's get together. So, hey, if there's an event going on, if the Super Bowl is in Tampa, let's have a social hour. If it's in LA, hey, what's everybody doing? Let's connect. So I think that piece is important. But then from that, we always link up and say, hey, I'm doing this at my job, and I would really love somebody like you to step in and talk to the students. So just being able to continue to build upon that network is important.
When you decided though that the PR marketing, even sports piece was what you wanted to do, what do you remember what steps you started to take at first? Was it about choosing a major in college?
Yeah.
Was it maybe like you said, not like, and like now I think a good way to it respectfully is, to actually reach out to people that you see like doing the job that you
Hmm.
love, right? Even if it's just to say, I'd like to communicate with you and maybe get some pointers, or can we have a
Right.
conversation? Can I take you to lunch? If you're a younger kid, maybe you don't have that kind of money, but maybe can I come
Right.
by your office for like an hour? When
Hmm.
you decided though, when you decided, what were the steps that you kind of took?
So when I was coming up, was not social media a lot, but I wanted to be in front of the camera, so I wanted to be the next Oprah. I was like, for sure, I was going to be in the camera, I was going to be like on the stage. But then I actually went to a magnet program in my here in Tampa for TV production. And at that time, I was like, I really like more behind the scenes stuff. I like kind of making it happen and like just prepping everybody and getting them out there. So I think it was important, and it's so much more access nowadays that kids can do it for themselves, right? I think you kind of spoke about that as well. Is like you don't necessarily need to go out and buy this fancy equipment. You have the editing tools sometimes at the palm of your hands.
Right.
So I think that was really important to me. I was like, all right, well, how can I do it? My parents loaned a video camera, and I did my audition tape, and then I went forward and I did like some other things as well. And I was on TV production. Then I said, okay, I want to be behind the scenes. And when I was in college, I did media relations for the athletic department. And I just kind of kept going. And I knew, especially in sports, you do sometimes things you don't necessarily want to do. It's not necessarily exactly that straight road, but I just said, okay, I know that opportunity, this experience is going to help me, and it has. And everything that I've done has prepared me to take the next step.
You mentioned the pandemic, right? And the pandemic was something that I don't think any of us expected, right? For the world to be pretty much completely shut down,
Mm-hmm.
right? And maybe not something to that big of an effect, but when you've run into things that were kind of maybe a surprise to you in your career or where you thought your career journey was, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you handle maybe making those adjustments or making a pivot to be like in or maybe in an unexpected, you're like, wait, like you just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing something now that I didn't think that I would be doing in this journey.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
hard was that adjustment and how did you make those adjustments?
I think for me, it was important to kind of, as I say, like write down is, you know, what are my goals, right? And is this a situation, is this an environment that will help me get there, right? Is there something that I can pick up and learn? Are there tools that I can gather while I'm here and put it on the shelf? And then I know that I can use it later. So I think just keeping that in mind because there's so many different ways that you can go, especially in sports, because a lot of times there's this feeling of you just got to be grateful to get in there. You got to grind it out. You got to do those little things. But I think sometimes it's hard. You can lose focus easily, right? And then you look around and it's like, well, I'm in sports, I'm in entertainment, but I'm not doing what I love. And then it
Right.
becomes a job like everybody else has. You know, it's just an everyday job. And when you go to it and you don't love it, you know that you're not making the right decisions. You know that you're not on the right path. And that's how I was feeling. And so
Right.
I was like, all right, I gotta go. You know, this is a job that people would love, and I'm just not in the point where I love it anymore.
Do you think it's important to because sometimes, and I think I've been guilty of this, right? You get into something, right, and you almost feel like you're so locked in, right? You're in this thing called the grind, right?
Right.
Everybody has you in
Yes,
this
the
hashtag
grind.
grind mode. I'm grinding. I'm out here getting it, right? But if nothing's written down, or like you said, you have a set of goals for yourself, do you think that that's important, like to have like and it may for everybody it may be different. Like where you may want to be in 6 months, where you may want to be in a year, where you may even want to be in 5 years. Like
Mm-hmm.
you read these self-help books, which I'm sure and there's a million memes, right, telling you what you should do
Yes.
now. If we're talking about the things that
So
encourage you,
many.
right? How important or I know you said you write a lot of things down, right? So how important was you to have your goals kind of, or at least where you kind of wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
progressing in your career, and then benchmarks? How important was that part?
I would say very important. I mean, I think it's very important because I can literally look back and say, okay, wow, I wrote this 6 months ago. Did it come to pass? What did I do? What could I have done? Who should I have met? Who should I talk to? How should I have challenged myself? I think within those goals, like make sure they're challenging, right? If it's, I'm going to go out and I'm going to meet four people that I want to connect with, right? I'm going to go out to this networking event, or I'm going to go and I'm going to speak to that teacher or that professor that's doing the work or in that industry that I want to be in. I think that's a part of it as well because you never know. You know, you just never know. That network is everything. So I think challenges and goals are kind of one and the same.
Right. When you let's just say um 21, 22. I'm just getting ready to jump into this. Not, and
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm just getting ready to get into my field, right? And I and
Mhm.
I and I honestly think I really want to get you this question is kind of like really for me as well because I think I've had an issue with this as you read a lot of times placing value on yourself and what you bring to the table.
Mhm. Mhm.
How have you been able to
Mhm.
do that? You
Mhm.
know, I mean, like you
Mhm.
said, in what we're into, this sports and entertainment, it's one of the main fields that tell you you should just be happy we let you in.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
that placing value on yourself. How have you handled that?
So it's funny. I was thinking about the other day. So one of my favorite shows is Grey's Anatomy, and
Is it because of this Dr.
amazing.
McDreamy or something like that?
No,
I don't know.
they
I've never
help.
watched the show, just so we're
They
clear.
help, but
It may
incredible.
help. Oh, okay. Okay.
But incredible writing, like
Gotcha.
incredible writing. I think just watching, like you're like, wow, did they know they did? Did they just say that? It's like incredible writing. That show and This Is Us, just phenomenal writing. But one of the my favorite characters is Richard Gere, and he said a quote, and I remember I don't even know what episode, but he said, if someone tries to take your story, you take it back and you tell it louder. And I think a lot of times in any job, right? You're doing so much, and we're taught to put your head down, right? That grind mentality. But if you look up and somebody can take your story, they can take your work. And so I always knew by nature I'm not that extroverted. I show up and you're going to know. I'm behind the scenes, right? Kind of like I talked about, like I enjoy behind the scenes, but I think you can get lost in that. So you have to remind people your value, and you have to say it, right? Whether it's a portfolio, whether it's making those, monthly or quarterly meetings with your higher ups to let them know, here's my goals, here's what I'm working on. What is it like? What are the next steps? How can we build these initiatives together? I've always remembered that, even it's a random episode of Grey's Anatomy, but I think it was really important for me because I'm not that person that just kind of like, hello, I've arrived, people, but I'm doing the work.
What's next? What do you see with the Globetrotters
Wow.
and in particular?
I mean, the sky's the limit. I know that sounds cliche, but like we're just getting started.
Right.
So we are closing up on our U.S. world tour. We're heading overseas. And then we are, really just continuing to reboot. We're going to have, we have recruiting, we've got training camp like any other team, and we're continuing to bring out kind of fresh moves and entertainment. So, with that, bringing in some of those memories that we had as a child, right? I was too young, but some people
Right.
watch Harlem Globetrotters on Scooby Doo. I was much too young. I don't even think I was around, but having those moments again. So if you're not on tour, right, you still want to be able to have the Harlem Globetrotters in your name and in your household. So making sure that we're implanting that as well in the market.
In handling the PR and marketing, right? And I mean, you and I can probably have a conversation from everything from about a spades game to, because you're into so many things and I am as well. Sports one day,
Mm-hmm.
hairstyles the next day, a good book that somebody read, right? But when you're trying to tell that Harlem Globetrotter story and you're in PR and marketing, right? And your job is to put out the messaging, right? Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm ever wrong here. To put out the messaging of, especially
Mm-hmm.
digitally and all this kind of stuff, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at all the things that people want to jump on, every little word or the cancel,
Yes.
the cancel culture that we're in. How difficult is it for you, or how often do you have to readjust the messaging when you're like, just on maybe a tweet or something, because
Mm-hmm.
there's so many cultures that that enjoy the Globetrotters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find yourself having to adjust even the way that the things are spoken?
Mm-hmm. I would say, that framework gratefully was already kind of established. But when I got there, I had some great leadership who kind of started that work already. But I think it's been good. I mean, I think people are ready for the new Harlem Globetrotters. When we're going out, they're enjoying the show no matter, we can go to the smallest town to the largest city and people enjoy that brand. And even if we have to be responsible for shifting some of that thought process, right? So if there's little things that we can change in sort of like the song choice, right? And we can change, the characters that we're introducing, and the characters are people from our culture, right? So I think it's implanting those things when we can. Our social media is also great team of people who, the song choices that we pick, the words that we're using, our captions are very much a part, and they're our brand voice. So I think we are more so introducing people in a way, still family friendly. It's family
Right.
entertainment. Still introducing people to, the new Harlem Globetrotters in our own way, with taking that family, family centered at heart.
Dope. Um, I think I've taken up enough of your time today, and I think I've gotten not everything, because I think that, I'm not sure if I'm speaking for Ben, but now I gotta find my way to a Harlem Globetrotters, because I want to
Yes,
like be in your environment. I want to
yes.
be in the whole shebang, like all in your
Pull
business.
up, pull up,
When you got all these different things going
pull
on.
up.
But before we let you get out of here, if that young girl is watching, right, and she's like, wow, like she's intrigued or expressing some interest, what piece of advice would you give her?
I would definitely say, you know, write down what it is that you want or you think you want, right? Or you're just interested in exploring next, right? Okay, from this, I know that I'm interested in that. What is that, right? Because to be honest, if somebody had said PR when I was in eighth grade, I'd be like, what is that? And who and what? And I think it's, if something intrigues you, try to find out about it. There's so much access that we have now that you can go to your library, you can go online to find it. I mean, there's just so many ways. And then maybe connect with somebody, right? Connect with somebody like myself, connect with somebody who's doing the work. And I feel like most of the times people will make the time to expose somebody to somebody who's interested.
Dope. Where can they find you at online?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Tiffany Hubert. That's pretty much the best way. My Instagram is a little hard. Oh, Sisters in Sports. You can always find us at Sisters in Sports. Sisters
And
in Sports.
it's SISTA
Mm-hmm.
S.
Sisters
Right.
in Sports. That's definitely the easiest way because my other Instagram is kind of difficult. But
Well, yeah.
Sisters in Sports is definitely the easiest way, and we're always connected. So myself and my colleague Alex, who are on there.
Man, I appreciate the time, and
Me
big shout out to the folks
too.
at Seventh and Grove for letting us sit
Yes,
here and have this
family.
conversation as well. Miss Tiffany Hubert, I promise these stories are just beginning, and
Absolutely.
I just want to be a part of telling them. And again, I thank you
Thank you.
for again helping us express. And when I say the possibilities through hip hop, because I just feel like folks like yourself, you belong to the culture.
Yeah.
Like you're part of the
And
culture.
I'm proud to be a part of the culture. I think it's something that we've got to embrace and know. I feel like, and not to take the conversation from
No,
even
it's
farther,
good. We're
but
good.
I feel like a lot of times we're in spaces where people who don't look like us, right? So how can I show up as my full self, right? And I think it's important to be in an environment where you can do that.
Dope. One more thing before I let you get out of here, and then I'm gonna let you go. You know how they say um, professional women, like when they on their way to work and they in the car with those windows up and they listen to that song. You know, what's the song that gets you hyped when you on your way to put
Ooh,
in, you know, to get your work done? And
let
you
me
know, you in
see.
the car, you in traffic.
I don't want to age myself.
You know what you do? I'll give you a choice. You can give me two or three. Don't even have to be one. You
All
can give me
right,
two
let
or
me
three.
see. So recently, I have been really on Mary J. Blige.
Oh,
Good Morning Gorgeous. Such a
well,
great
that
song.
is that's how you should wake up, right?
Right. It's like, you know what? Good morning. Um, but then I'm also like, I'm a neo soul girl. So give me Xavier Omar. Give
Okay.
me, yeah. So sometimes you just have a moody morning. We just want to like ride, just drive.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
there you
But
go.
Mary J has been on rotation for sure.
I think Mary J's in a lot of rotation. Everybody don't, even kids who are learning about Mary J.
Yeah.
Mary J's in a lot of rotation. Mary J got some songs that just speak to you.
Yes. Yeah. And even, you know what? Sorry, I went back to
Well, okay.
Mariah Carey.
What's which Mariah Carey song?
Hold on, because I was into one. I did a DIY project on Sunday.
And I want y'all to understand too, Lotto did not make the song first. Mariah had it, and even before Mariah, it's "Genius of Love" is the sample, all right. So it's not just big energy, just people. Hey, can you play? Mariah's over at Big Lotto. Hey, come on, man, stop it. Okay, give me the Mariah
Mariah
song.
Carey, Snoop Dogg, Say Something. I know, very random. Don't blame me, blame Alexa. But I was
Boom.
like, you know what? I do like this song.
I appreciate
Ooh,
you.
Blick Blick, that's a current one.
What
Blick
is it?
Blick Blick.
Blick Blick? I knew it was a gangster song in your car. I knew it. You see, I knew it. Blick Blick, and see,
You gave me three. I
right.
said three.
See how
That's
she gave us those nice
you
like,
switch. You got to switch it
yeah.
up.
I know though when you're in the car and you
It's
hit
a
this
long
move on them,
ride.
it's the Blick
If
Blick
it's a
song.
long ride, you got to give him the moves.
I got you, man. I appreciate it, man. Miss Tiffany Hubert,
Thank
Harlem Globetrotters.
you.
The tour is happening all over. You may see her in the building doing something, making it happen. But reach out. We here at
Yes.
Hip Hop Study Hall, man. I'm DJ Ekin. I just get to sit here and learn what you learn, man. All right.